Angie Stone, one of the most iconic voices in music. From her days with the Sequence, breaking barriers for women in hip-hop, to her unforgettable solo hits, she became a living legend in the world of R&B and beyond. But what if I told you that her sudden passing, while tragic, is surrounded by even more shocking details than you could ever imagine? You won't believe how the story unfolds. Today, we're diving deep into the mystery behind Angie Stone's death. What really happened that day in Montgomery, Alabama? And why are people still questioning the details? Stay tuned, because there's a lot more to this story than meets the eye. Angie Stone didn't just enter the music scene, she revolutionized it. Starting out in the legendary hip-hop group The Sequence in the late 70s, she was part of the first all-female group signed to Sugarhill Records. Let that sink in for a second. We're talking about a woman who was not just on the front lines of music, she was making history. The Sequence gave us the iconic hit, Funky for You, and thanks to its unforgettable funk beats, the song has been sampled by big names like Dr. Dre's Keep Their Heads Ringing and Bruno Mars' Uptown Funk. Imagine being in the same league as Dr. Dre and Bruno Mars, all while paving the way for other female artists in a male-dominated industry. But Angie wasn't just a one-hit wonder. No, she wasn't about that life. After The Sequence, she took a massive step into the solo spotlight with her debut album Black Diamond in 1999. And guess what? It went gold. That's right. Angie Stone didn't just make music, she made an impact. And if you thought she was just about the mic, think again. This multi-talented star also dabbled in acting, landing roles in films like The Hot Chick and Kevin Hart's comedy Ride Along. Angie wasn't just a musician, she was a cultural force. But just when we thought Angie's journey had only begun, the unthinkable happened. On the morning of March 1st, 2025, at about 4 a.m., Angie Stone was making her way home from a performance in Atlanta, heading back to Alabama. She was just 5 miles from home when a 16-wheeler collided with her Sprinter van, flipping it over. The crash left everyone alive, except Angie Stone. Tragically, she didn't make it. But the question is, was it really an accident? But there was more to this story. It wasn't just the news of her death that shocked everyone. It was the details surrounding it. And you wouldn't believe how the information trickled out. Here's where things get strange. Just 9 weeks ago, Angie went public with explosive claims against her record label, Universal Records.
At the end of the day, after 40-something years in the business, I'm like, well, why? Where are my royalties going? Because I'm not getting this. Come to find out, Universal Music has been receiving all my royalties, all my mechanicals. They've taken pretty much everything. They've stolen, I won't say stolen, but they have taken all the monies that were due to me. They have basically absorbed in that company. And even though there's several class action lawsuits, people that were working on my behalf never even registered the songs. All the songs that I've done, I'm only coming to find out they were not properly registered by the companies that I signed over to.
She accused them of stealing her publishing royalties and mechanicals, basically robbing her of the fruits of her decades-long career. Was this just coincidence? The timing of her death raises major red flags. Could her accident have been something more calculated? Angie was vocal about her plans to expose the music industry's darkest secrets. She was ready to tell the world what was really going on behind closed doors, especially the shady practices of her label. But then, just days after she went public with this, she's in a fatal car accident. Suspicious, right? Here's where it gets more intense. Fans started digging through social media, and there was one detail that stood out. A video posted by Angie herself, just days before the accident. In the video, her son, Michael, was seen driving a black utility vehicle while Angie was filming. Many believed that this was the same vehicle involved in the crash. But was Michael behind the wheel that morning? Was he driving when the fatal crash happened? Or was it someone else entirely? But this wasn't Angie's first close call with death. Earlier, she was rushed to the ICU with a severe bacterial infection after a needle mishap during a medical procedure. She was near death, claiming it was a spiritual attack, a sign that someone, or something, was after her. Could this health scare have been just a warning sign? The details were sketchy. Angie's daughter, Diamond Stone, broke the heartbreaking news on social media, posting, "My mommy is gone." It was simple, yet it broke the hearts of thousands. Fans flooded her page with love, but a deep, unsettling question hung in the air. Was this truly an accident, or had someone intended to silence Angie Stone for good, ensuring she could never reveal any industry secrets? The speculation surrounding the car accident didn't end there. The video from Angie's social media showing her son driving raised even more eyebrows. Michael had been known to drive his mother around on several occasions, especially when she was on tour. But there's no concrete evidence to say he was driving that day, and that uncertainty only fueled rumors. Was he the one behind the wheel when the crash occurred? Was there a sense of road rage? Could something have triggered a series of unfortunate events? But let's step back for a moment. It's easy to get caught up in speculation. Maybe Michael was not involved at all. Perhaps the driver of the commercial vehicle was at fault, or perhaps it was a simple case of an unfortunate accident. We don't have all the details. But one thing is for sure. This accident shook the Stone family to its core. In the weeks leading up to Angie Stone's death, she wasn't just quietly living her life. She was actively preparing to expose some of the most hidden, dark truths about the music industry. She had made it clear on social media and in interviews that she had been wronged by the powers that be, particularly her label, Universal Music.
The Sugarhill Gang's Eighth Wonder, Apache, Sequence wrote those songs. Okay?
Are you serious?
We wrote those songs, and we were also the voices up until they got some singers. We did West Street Mob. So there was a lot of sweeping under the rug. They can't tell me hip-hop is not in our fabric because we wrote those songs for the Sugarhill Gang. And we were the little country bumpkins that they never wanted to talk about. So when you hear, let's dance, I know you got the feet, but let's dance. Come on and get down. That's us.
Wow.
Oh.
Angie spoke out about the exploitation of artists and how major labels were stealing from their own talent, robbing them of not only their royalties, but their legacy. Angie wasn't just sitting back. She was on a mission to blow the lid off the industry's practices. The way she spoke, it was clear she wasn't afraid to lose anything, even if it meant speaking truth to power.
What I'm doing now is whatever is necessary to make sure they pay me for the legacy of my life, for my children and my grandchildren. They're going to have to give me my money. I mean, when you sit back and think Bruno Mars, Dr. Dre, when you think about all these people that have sampled music, if they're filthy rich on it, what's our problem? Or my problem?
But here's where it gets chilling. Angie had just hinted that she was about to drop a bombshell. She was ready to expose the dirty secrets and put it all out there. Just a day before her tragic car accident, she was vocal about her intent to reveal the truth, to go public with the names and practices she'd been silent about for years. Could her death have been the industry's way of preventing her from going any further? As she approached the time she was about to speak out, Angie seemed increasingly aware of the dangers she was facing. There were rumors circulating that she was receiving threats. After all, when you're someone like Angie Stone, with decades in the game and the power to destroy the narratives built around the industry's practices, you become a target. And it didn't seem like she was just warning people to be careful about her health, but warning that her life could be in danger if she went too far. Now let's break down the most haunting question. Was Angie's death just a tragic accident, or was it something far more nefarious? This is where things start to look a little less like coincidence and more like something sinister. Angie's death came after she made waves with her accusations against Universal Music, and the timing couldn't be more suspicious. The very day before she was involved in that crash, she had been gearing up to expose even more of what she had been holding back for years. Now think about it. Angie Stone wasn't just some random artist. She was a legendary figure in the R&B world, and her voice, her influence, could have shifted things in a major way. When an artist has the kind of power to speak out against a massive label like Universal, especially one with a history of manipulating artists, it's no stretch to think they might do anything to stop her. Angie's potential to blow the lid off the industry was a real threat. And when threats come from people who control millions of dollars, they're not always idle. Here's where it gets even more unsettling: the crash. Angie was the only one who didn't survive that van accident. How is it that every other person in the vehicle made it out alive, but she didn't? That's an anomaly that just doesn't add up. Was it truly just a freak accident, or could it have been orchestrated to look like one? After all, we've seen situations before where powerful figures use covert means to eliminate threats or voices that challenge their control. In this case, Angie's voice was becoming too loud, and the industry had too much at stake to let her expose what she knew. Some might call it a conspiracy theory, but when you stack up the facts, the timing of her allegations, the crash that claimed her life, and the silence of those in power, it feels less like coincidence and more like a carefully executed plan to stop her before she could do real damage. Was Angie Stone silenced? Did someone in the music industry with the power to control lives decide her voice was just too dangerous to let roam free? Or was it simply a tragic accident? The question remains unanswered, and for many, it'll be one they'll never stop asking. The facts don't add up. Angie Stone's sudden death, her accusations, and the strange timing. Could it be just a tragic accident? You be the judge. What do you think? Was it just a random crash, or was Angie Stone silenced? Drop your thoughts in the comments and share this video with anyone who needs to know about this disturbing story. Let's keep the conversation going.